Welcome. I'm so thrilled you are all here because you are the real people. And I bless you all for joining us.
The Regime is a show about a leader of a small Central European country, fictional. We're never really told exactly where or when, but we assume somewhere in Central Europe, somewhere around now.
What we started to do was try and understand how we could build this world that felt so fascistic and threatening, but also have the kind of femininity that it required for the way Elena would have set up this world.
You had to create an imaginary country. And really the first big idea was the idea of going to Vienna. It seems to have a lot of palaces. And indeed it does have a lot of palaces, and we've filmed in most of them.
I lucked into probably the two best people to capture this world. Stephen and Jessica Hobbs are masters at filming people in power and palaces.
Stephen and Jess never worked together or met before, and the synergy between them, the immediate collegiality to establish this show's tricky tone was apparent.
I think for the actors, it was really great to start in Vienna because it gave a feeling of power and that they all were in the right place to play the parts.
Let's take a tour around the palace. There's so much to see.
Schönbrunn looks extraordinary. It's one of the historical palaces of the world. It had never been filmed in before. There was panic about how it was going to work because we had people with replica submachine guns. We had people in odd costumes. We were covering their gardens in cabbages.
Cut it. Was that good?
Perfect.
Those palaces are very gilt and there's lots of creamy colours. There's very bold frescoes, detailing, columns, and
that level of extraordinary opulence that you cannot believe. And that has informed the entire look and feel of the show.
when I was building the sets that had to work with the interiors in Vienna, I was very mindful of all the architectural detail that I needed to employ. We had the Baroque style from Vienna, but we also had like more modernist style we employed in her office. And then in her apartment, I wanted it to almost to be the opposite, so she really stood out, and that's where her character was unveiled in a way. Apart from the set design, was getting the flag exactly right, bearing in mind the nationalistic colours and the red and blue of the flag.
And even things so like, what is the emblem in the middle of the flag? Cave suggested, well, what about a leopard?
And then that became an emblem used frequently everywhere in the palace.
It becomes the central unifying motif of the entire design of the show.
You've got spots now. Leopard changing its spots. Get it? Very funny.
I spoke a lot to Cave because we were both creating a world from scratch. Every extra to every principal had to have a backstory of their own.
For me, it was trying to make sure nobody looked too fashionable, and the only person who was standout was Elena.
How do I look?
Perfect.
God, it's exhausting. Wearing my face for these people, smiling at their lies.
One of the main elements that I felt about Elena was her complete unpredictability. Every time you see her, she's completely different.
Consolata had built this whole story with her costume that ebbs and flows with Elena's own personality.
So thoughts? Too glam for the farmers?
Too frilly, that one. I mean, I've had something crazy like 51 costumes or something like that. I mean, there is no scene where I wear the same thing twice.
She's on her way up.
Dress? Green. Had to be green, didn't it? You're scared of a fabric dye. You really are a mewling vulva, Mr. Schiff. What do you expect?
We went through different phases of her look, where she goes a bit more Western and more powerhouse, and then she goes a bit more ethnic to the country.
She absolutely believed that this was what the people would want to see her wearing. Who the fuck are all these people? Sean and I talked a lot about the hair, and she said, "Oh, what do you think we should do?" I thought we have to somehow give ourselves the most room to play. We make her hair wigs.
Elena's own hair is balding rubbish, which reflects the damage of her personality and how deeply insecure she is. And then she puts on this facade, and suddenly she's the Chancellor.
And there we are.
No, right. Stop it. The manipulation of this woman even came through in her clothes and her hair.
You're tough, you're clever, And you know just how to please them to get them to do what we want. This is your magic.
Zubak is brought into this world. He's from the impoverished people who live on the outside. I really enjoyed having that counterbalance.
Country medicine, is it?
The only medicine that works.
One might argue aspirin and chemo occasionally do the trick, but sure.
Matthias was so involved in his character, and his character's journey is expressed on his back. So we had to reveal that several times to show, all right, they're healed now, he's in a better place, or they're festering and because he's in a really tortured state.
I've been instructed to bring you this.
What is it?
These are the clothes she wants you to wear for the banquet tonight.
I'm not wearing this nutcracker shit.
She requested that you do, Corporal.
Andrea gave Agnes a much more feisty edge. I dressed her in a very shadowy way, like this shadow that sort of moves along the corridors.
I was so desperate to have her with really short hair because I thought it helped blend her into the background, but also was a strong look for this strong woman.
If you compare her to Elena, she's the absolute and utter opposite, and that makes her very strong.
It's fascinating. Yes, fascinating, madam.
What I really enjoyed about this is being able to push the boat out design-wise and really get into the character of this crazy dictator.
I'm so incredibly lucky with the team I have, who are such an incredible support.
It's really lovely when you're working with somebody that you've worked with before. It just makes it so much easier and enjoyable because you have that shorthand and you can have the confidence to make outlandish suggestions and then reel it back in or take it even further.
And here she is, folks, the first sugar beat of the season.
We hope that people with some entertainment and perhaps some terror are transported into this world.
I want people to see the world that has been created here, which is a testament to these amazing artists and craftspeople who work to design and build this world. I think that's what I'm excited for people to step into.
And so I bless you all, and I bless our love, always.